Can you imagine Adam Devine in just lavender tighty-whities being sexy? Because neither can the movie. Welcome to another episode of the Creature Podcast. I am Michael.
I am Lindsay.
And a couple episodes ago, we dipped our little toes into Camp Crystal Lake, and we haven't got out of the slasher water yet. We decided to do dueling postmodern takes on the slasher subgenre. Last week, we investigated some madmansplaining in Behind the Mask. Like that? I like that. Madmansplaining. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And this week, Lindsay has responded by saying, I see your meta-narrative, and I will raise you some heartbreaking catharsis.
Yes, definitely.
Today, we are covering 2015's The Final Girls. Written by M.A. Fortin and Joshua John Miller. Directed by Todd Strauss-Schulsten. These guys, you know, they're working. They've done some stuff. Look them up. They have careers. They're doing just fine. I have nothing to say about it. I guess up top, we do these in advance a little bit, and this movie has been on the agenda for a while, but everyone at this table has been dealing with some actual genuine fucking loss, and that's kind of what this movie is dealing with. And I don't say that to be a sad sack or anything, but I'm just saying that I don't know if I start crying. I'm not weird, you're weird. So anyway, Lindsay, tell me about The Final Girls.
Okay. Unfortunately, my first line, I don't get my own notes, so...
Boy, starting off good.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, I got VVE, Camp Bluefinch, where romance in the sun can turn deadly.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about
Me neither.
other than I assume. So the movie starts
Is it like a title card, maybe, or something?
The movie starts with a movie trailer.
With the movie trailer is my next note. So I'm like, that has to be something that happened before that.
Okay.
VVE? VVE, like VVE. Anyway,
we start with an old-fashioned
movie trailer. Crackly screen, and then the cha-cha-cha.
Yep.
That
all
is
the way down.
movie.
This is a total knockoff of Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm. And then any moment, Billy can strike.
Yeah. Billy is this movie's Jason, and the movie is called Camp Bloodbath. Is that right?
Camp Bloodbath. I'm getting there.
Kind of on the nose title.
Pack your bags for Camp Bloodbath. So then it turns out that there's a girl in a car who's watching this trailer on her phone.
Right.
And
we've cut into the present day. And then she is from American Horror Story, the Coven season. This character's Max, and it's played by Thaisa Farmiga. Mm-hmm. This is the sister of Vera.
Oh, yeah. Vera Farmiga is the nun, right?
Well, Thais is also in The Nun, I learned last night. So these sisters, Blumhouse really has given them all the bank. So Vera Farmiga plays Lorraine Warren in all of the Conjuring movies, which I've been threatening to do a little side project on the Warrens, who are a bunch of fucking hucksters that probably shouldn't have movies made about them. This is Vera's sister, who has taken the Blumhouse horror torch and ran with it.
Okay, so in the floorboard of the car, there are headshots of an actress from the trailer, the same actress that was in the trailer that she just watched. Right. It says Amanda Cartwright on the bottom. It is Malin Ackerman.
Malin Ackerman, yeah. This is Max's mom, Amanda. Mm-hmm. We do see for a second the back of this headshot, and it has her scant credits on it, various horror movies. One of them is Chopping Mall. And I don't know what the fuck is that.
That's interesting. I missed that.
It even has her character name. I looked it up to cross-reference. There's no character by that name. And they just put Chopping Mall on the back as one of her credits.
That's awesome. Okay, well... So then we see Amanda smoking dejectedly after an audition, and she gets in the car, and she's upset. She was recognized for Camp Bloodbath and not any of the other things she did.
Right.
CSI
She can't quite get over the Camp Bloodbath.
Horror queen.
Yeah, the Scream Queen thing.
Yeah. So Max is telling her mom of all the bills they owe as they're driving, and Max is more of the responsible one.
She's clearly the adult in this relationship.
Yeah, and mom just grabs the bills from out of her hand and throws them out the window. And then their song comes on. Now, this is like my all-time favorite song, and it is Betty Davis Eyes by Kim Carnes. Like, all-time favorite song. And which
is kind of a one... I went down a rabbit hole about this song last night.
Did you?
It's kind of a one-hit wonder for her.
It is a one-hit wonder.
Which is wild, because this song is like...
I fell in love with it early, and it's always been my song.
It's a great fucking song.
It is, and I feel like immediately when you have this mom and daughter duo, and then you have this song, the first time I watch this movie, I'm already in. I'm involved. Yeah. You know, I'm involved in their relationship.
Like I said, there's a handful of things that are intensely Lindsay about this movie, and this is one of them.
Right. So mom starts lip syncing and try to cajole Max to join in. And Max calls Mom a dork, and Mom says that she's the one thing that she's done right in her life and that she loves her. Okay, so Amanda convinces Max to join in the lip syncing, but then Max spills on her headshots, and her Mom's like, oh, those are expensive, and then they get in a car wreck.
Yeah, this is kind of...
It flips over a couple times.
This is like a kind of a jump scary thing, and it's kind of cool because as the car flips, it's some kind of sketchy CGI, but they decided to lock the camera with the flipping car, so the world itself is spinning as the car stays, quote unquote, in place. It's a cool little effect.
Yeah.
I think they kind of did that to show that they weren't crashing a real car, and it's effective. It's a good little workaround.
And then title card.
And then the final girls. Yes, the title card comes up.
3 years later.
3 years later.
Max is getting ready, watching old movies of her mom. She's living with her Aunt Pearl.
Yeah.
Pearl.
We extrapolate from this that Amanda did not survive the car crash.
This is the first time I heard the coming Aunt Pearl thing, so it connected that dot. It's like, oh, this is how she's getting by. She's
living with her aunt.
Family, yeah.
Max is now with her friend Gertie, which is played by Aaliyah Shawkat, which is Maybe.
Yeah.
We all know her as Maybe.
She's great. I mean, she's done so many things
I know
at
she
this
has.
point.
Yes.
What is it, The Hunting Party?
The search party.
The Search Party. That was a great little show with terrible people that I had to bomb out watching because I'm like,
God.
I fucking hate all these people.
I haven't finished the last episode.
I only watched the first season.
it was just the first season.
I haven't finished.
It was fun.
Oh, sorry, the last season. I haven't finished the last season because they're just so. The first season you can get behind because you can kind of see their progression and
the
they
first
were
season.
trying to like find her and then they just fucked it all up and then just everything got.
And it ends the way it ends, and I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of fine with it ending this way.
We never
no
watched another
spoilers for
season.
the.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's played Gertie, and she's the winner of this movie.
Sure.
I can't express how much that her expressions during this movie are really selling so much of the comedy.
Sure.
If ever there's something goofy going on, you could just watch her in the background, like giving the side eye or furrowed brows. She's very funny in this.
She is very funny in this. So they're driving to a diner to study.
Yeah, they're going to meet Chris, right?
Yes, Chris. So
this is a big hunk of a man, huh?
I guess so. He's pretty tall.
He's tall. He's pretty cut. This is an actor named Alexander Ludwig.
I don't know him.
96 episodes of Vikings.
Oh, he is pretty blonde.
Yeah, and he is
tall and blonde, and he's very Scandinavian looking.
He looks like, who do I love? Chris Hutcherson, if Chris Hutcherson actually grew up. So Chris Hutcherson was that little dinosaur in the thing, and then you put the little dinosaur, Chris Hutcherson, in water, and it gets really big. That's who this guy is.
Yeah, no, I see it. Okay. Anyway, so Chris and the girls are at a diner table and they're studying, and then in walks Duncan, who is Thomas Middlevich.
Yeah. Now, real quick, what are they studying?
Classics?
Greek mythology, and of course what they're talking about is the myth of Persephone, who gets taken by Hades, and the whole thing is she's trapped in hell, so just don't look back. So this is going to be kind of a thing going forward.
Yeah. It turns out that Duncan is Gertie's step-sibling.
Duncan is Thomas Middlevich's name in this.
Yes.
He's also pretty funny in this.
He is very funny in this. And he is trying to get Max to come to a Camp Bloodbath film fest that they're doing on the anniversary of her mom's death.
Which makes no fucking sense to me. Why wouldn't they just make it the 25th anniversary of the movie?
Yeah.
Because that's when it's 3 years later or whatever. It's the 25th anniversary. We wouldn't have asked you to do this, but it's a thing about the movie.
It's very uncouth to ask somebody on the anniversary of your mother's death.
No one would spend the anniversary of their loved one's death watching them then die in a movie.
Yeah.
When there's such a perfectly easy way to fix this script right there. But whatever.
Right. Well, I guess Camp Bloodbath, he says, is the granddaddy of all camp slasher films, and it's a cult classic, whatever.
Yeah. It's obviously Friday the 13th.
Yes, and he convinces her by offering to do all her assignments and classics for the rest of the year.
She is failing. This is the
why she's studying in the first place.
The little carrot to get her to go ahead and do this. And just also little detail here, it is Camp Bloodbath 1 and 2 that are playing back-to-back this night.
Correct. So she decides to go, and then that night, Chris shows up at the theater, like, for moral support and surprises Max, which is kind of weird.
There's a couple, there's a couple things going on here. Chris is clearly kind of got the hots for Max.
Yeah.
Gertie knows this and is like, yo, you two should get together. I like that Max is like, do you see how tall he is? I would need stilts to fuck him, basically. So there's that little
She's probably
dynamic.
my height, yeah.
She's, tiny, and this guy's obviously over 6 feet tall.
Okay, but beds exist.
But
true. In other
you
positions.
just lay down.
But Chris,
But they're children, supposedly.
There's no need for climbing.
Look, I get it. There are ways. People have done it throughout human history. Chris seems like a nice dude. He's goofy. Mm-hmm. Even though he's hot and big, he's not that typical whatever. He just seems like he's into her.
Right. So then some obviously jealous girl shows up in a car and interrupts them as they're talking.
Yes.
And she proceeds to be very territorial of Chris.
So this is Vicki. She's played by, I'm going to fuck up this name, Nina Dobrov.
Yeah, Dobrov.
Don't know anything about
Nina
her.
Dobrov?
That's it, yeah.
Perhaps.
From
135 episodes of The Vampire Diaries. Again, I don't know.
Degrassi, The Next Generation.
Oh, she was in Degrassi?
The Next Generation.
Oh, okay.
Well, let me just say, in this viewing, I've seen this movie several times, so have you. In this movie, I realized I have been Team Vicki the whole fucking time. This is the mean girl character.
Yeah.
And as the movie progresses, I'm like, holy shit, Team Vicki all the way.
Okay. You can explain that later why you're Team Vicki.
I will. I will walk you down this Team Vicki path.
Okay, so we're in the theater. I skipped the whole middle glitch falling scene. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he just jumps out. I mean, it's
funny.
It's clearly a funny little goof. I think that I read that he actually tripped and they wanted him to reproduce it because it was funny.
They had it in the bloopers at the end of the movie. Yeah.
I didn't. Sorry, that was after the fucking credits,
I watched them.
She's careful now.
I'm being careful now, yes. Okay, so we're in the theater and the movie starts to applause. Yeah. And now we're watching the movie. So a VW bus, yellow, is driven by Kurt, who is Adam Devine.
Yep.
Drives down a forested road, and it's like, you can tell like it's a movie because there's all these fake flowers to make it look like
it's a little Technicolor.
It's Technicolor.
They're trying to make it a little Wizard of Oz.
It's very
vibe.
Much like that.
Yeah.
It's like we're in a fantasy world, and it's very pretty. So they're driving down the forest.
Which is so weird that this is supposed to be a Friday the 13th knockoff, and I'm like, Camp Crystal Lake is not idyllic looking.
No, but this is
like
idyllic.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, this is gorgeous. The VW bus is driving down the forested road. And then we're here, Adam Devine say, hey guys, we're here. And in the background, Hey Mickey, the song Hey Mickey is playing. Yeah. Nancy, who is played by Amanda, wakes up out of the back of the van and she smiles. It's like a big scene. Amanda's here.
Okay, let's nail this down. Max's mom, Amanda, is now playing the character Nancy.
Yes.
So she will now be called Nancy.
Nancy, yes.
We've just got to...
Nancy is tricky. Amanda and Max.
This is a real one cut of the dead problem that we're having.
Yes, it's a movie within a movie. Yeah. Okay, so because we're, as audience members, we are just watching this movie, it's going to jump through time in the movie. So now we're at a place where we're watching the movie and Nancy is telling what happened to Billy.
This is a Billy origin story.
The movie flashback starts in black and white and Billy Murphy is being picked on by boys who then throw firecrackers in an outhouse he's hiding in. Yeah. And then it jumps to a scene where Kurt and Nancy are about to have sex. And then we're back in the theater outside the movie. Some guy lights up a cigarillo.
So right now, what's happening is
it's like one of the episodes.
It's literally
Scream?
It becomes Final Destination.
Final Destination,
this movie suddenly becomes Final Destination. It's so funny
because it's like, what are all the bizarre ways that people are gonna
It's so hilarious. Killed. This is one of the best. Like
it also reminds me of Scream 4, where we're watching the movie and we're sitting in the theater.
Scream
3,
2 or 3, where Stab is the movie of the
yes.
So character-wise, Max is going to bomb out of the theater. She's increasingly uncomfortable because we have hit the scene where her mom dies in the movie. So she's not going to sit there and want to watch her mom.
Not quite yet, but yeah.
Well, that's why she gets up and leaves, because it's
about
about
to
happen.
Yet. Yeah.
Well, okay. So what is happening in the theater is we keep jumping around to a guy clicks open a lighter to light up a joint.
Yes, a cigarillo. And then in the movie, Nancy asks Kurt what his tattoo means. He says it was given to him in juvie and he's a cherry thief. I thought it was funny.
Did you?
I did.
Adam Devine has to play the exact type of fucking sleazy in every single role.
His little purple tighty whities are hilarious.
Dude, later on I'm going to talk about how sad I am that at my most fit, I will have Adam Devine's body. And it is, frankly, not good enough for me.
Okay. So the theater begins to laugh, and we see someone with a vodka bottle drop it, and it rolls down the theater incline, spilling the whole way down, and then breaks at the velvet curtain. And then Adam Devine again. Nice legs. What time do they open?
Yeah, we're just clicking back and forth. It's very much a Final Destination.
It is going back and forth.
So it's the Rube Goldberg of a problem happening in the theater.
Right. The guy drops a cigarillo.
Just an ash,
Right, an ash off of it.
It lights, apparently, this bottle of 100 proof, like 151 that these motherfuckers were sipping on, because it is like a gas fire.
Right, so in the movie, Kurt has disappeared and Amanda's getting attacked. So then Max gets up to leave. So she doesn't see her mom get killed by the slasher in the movie. So as she's walking out, that ember hits the vodka and the theater bursts into flames. So Max is away from her friends at this
This
time.
is a great scene. Yeah. It is a really actual full theater. The fire looks good. It looks fucking scary.
It does. So then Max like bumps into some guy who conveniently drops a machete.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck this is. I always forget this detail. And I always get pissed anew when it happens because I get like somebody might be doing like cosplay.
Yeah.
But to bring a fucking for real machete is a thing.
Yeah.
But they want like magical realism to happen to be like there's a lighter in the movie and a lighter in the theater. And then for whatever reason, her cutting the screen with the machete is what is, I know you're not there yet, but I'm making a point about like, they're trying to make this make sense when they don't need to.
They didn't need to have the magical
They don't need
machete.
to make math happen of why they are able to enter this movie.
Right. So, anyways, exits are blocked, but there is another behind the screen. She finds out from Duncan. Max grabs the machete and they crawl on the stage because it's an old movie theater where they had stages. And the moment in the movie when Billy raises his weapon to kill Nancy, Max raises her machete and slices the screen.
Right. And behind the screen is just
glowing
white light.
They crawl through the...
They're just... And no one...
The cut.
That's just it. No one cares. It's like not like anyone knows magic is happening now. They're trying to escape a fucking inferno.
Because there's an exit behind the screen, yeah.
And Max kind of looks and kind of surveys the chaos that's going on, and they jump in the screen.
Then we wake up outside in a forest coughing from smoke inhalation, and they don't know where they are. And then, guys...
But gosh, it's Technicolor.
It is Technicolor. Guys, somebody is coming. And it is the yellow VW bus with Hey Mickey playing from the movie. And it stops. And Tina from the movie asks them if they know the way to Camp Bluefinch. And they all stare. And the van just drives off because they didn't answer.
So they do the normal stuff. They're like, am I having a stroke? Are we in a...
Gertie vomits. Are we in a collective dream?
Collective dream.
And
Thomas Middlevich's character says, if this is a dream, my naked dad's going to show up and offer you pecan pie. Don't take the pie. It's not pecan pie.
Yeah.
Which is...
Ad-libbed line,
it really
obviously.
feels like Middlevich was just saying shit at this point.
Yes. So then they're just sitting there, and then we see 92 minutes later.
Which I love. I love this detail. Yeah. It's such a good, fun, little, clever thing they do.
And then Gertie says, maybe we're dead and this is heaven. And then the van shows back up.
Yep.
Same thing. Yellow VW bus. Hey Mickey song.
Do you know the way
And then Tina stops, puts her head out the window. Do you know the way to Camp Bluefinch? And then they tell her to keep going. It's that way. And the van drives off.
And so Duncan has clocked this because he's the movie nerd.
Yeah.
He has this theory. 92 minutes has passed. Let's just wait.
Yeah. They're like, are we crazy? And they're like, no, we're not crazy. I don't think we're in the valley anymore. And then it says another 92 minutes later. And they're sitting on the log and Duncan counts down the van showing up. 3,
he's got
2,
it on his watch.
1.
He goes click and he points and the van shows up.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, we're not there yet.
So this time when Tina asks if they know the way, they say, yes, they're also counselors. And if they give them a ride, they can show them the way there. So they all get in the van. And from now on, I call them the movie constructs. Anybody that's part of the movie.
I do movie folks and new folks.
I did movie construct and kids. I just call them kids. So their movie constructs are slightly suspicious, but not really. Nancy wakes up in the same way she did in the trailer, or whatever, in the beginning of the movie. And then she looks directly at Max and goes, oh, hi, I'm Nancy. What's your name? And there's a lot of things that Max is going to take from this movie construct as her mother talking to her.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why would you? I wanted to take a little moment here. With all the crazy shit that's going on, the cool thing the movie does is you kind of forget that this is imminent. That all of a sudden, we're in a movie and we're all in a van together. And then this young woman is going to meet her dead mother again.
Yes.
And it works so well.
It does work very well.
Because she has this... her eyes well up, and Nancy as a character is so compassionate. She's like, "Oh,
First time away from home?
It is hard being away from your parents." And she's like, "Yeah," as one tear goes down her eye. And it's really good. It's a real good knife in the heart.
Good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Okay, so we arrive at camp and they yell "Best summer ever" or whatever. And then Camp Bloodbath title card, because now we're in the movie. So the kids all get out of the van, and the movie constructs continue the script. And then the kids are like, oh, we're in the movie. How do we get out? The kids are trying to get the van from Adam Devine's his character. They're trying to get the van and leave, but Max just wants to spend time with Nancy.
Okay, so Middlevich goes, okay, so we're in the movie. And they're like, well, we just need to get the fuck home. And Middlevich is like, he's the expert in this. He's like, it's 1986.
Yeah.
We don't exist yet. Our homes don't exist yet. Nothing is here. So, which is funny, I put a little note here that technically in 1986, this is the year that Friday the 13th Part 4, Jason Lives comes out. So we've already done this 4 times in our world. I just have notes about how Adam Devine is my height, and it's hilarious that he's the jock in this. So I'm going off the rails a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, I have some crazy notes about, like, Tina's already had sex twice today. She's totally normal.
And she's just grinding on a very scared Chris
she
as
is,
they cut to him. I like Thomas Middlevich's character. Duncan is goading Kurt to roast him, and Kurt's like, you're a turd sucker. And he's like, the writing's so bad. Like, Middlevich's character is like so aware that he's like making bad writing happen. There's a lot of comedic people in this that are clearly given a lot of space to just be funny, ad-libbing and whatnot.
Right. So the movie constructs are now talking about the real kids, and Nancy is like, none of them are on the counselor's roster. Where'd they come from? And while she's saying that, everybody's gone looking for keys.
Right. So basically, Kurt's an asshole. He wants to have, you know, in exchange for the van, he wants to, like, sleep with one of them or whatever. Instead of that, he's like, fuck you. If you want my van, go get the keys. And he tosses them.
Yeah.
The movie group gets together and goes, we don't know really who these people are. And then that puts the new group, our heroes group, together off in the woods in order to find these keys. And while they're in the woods, a scene happens. They are on the outside of a scene that we saw in the trailer in the beginning that we didn't talk about. Is a young hippie girl counselor has gone off into the woods and runs into a hot hiker.
And the kids are like, we should warn the first girl she's about to die. But Duncan says, no, our duty is not to disrupt, but to observe.
It's like an animal preserve.
Yeah.
So they're just going to stand here and watch what are ostensibly humans die. Right. Because it's part of the movie.
Right, and Duncan is such a fan the entire time he's around. He's lip-syncing the lines.
He can lip-sync the lines. I love it. It's so good.
Okay, so we're watching the hippie girl make out with the hiker she just met, and then Billy shows up. And Billy breaks the hiker's neck when hippie chick is facing the other direction, adjusting herself, whatever, I don't know.
She's getting her hair right, but when she turns around, she wants, where's the beef?
Where's the beef? She turns around and she says, okay, where's the beef? And then Billy strangles her and throws her body at the real-life kids.
So a couple things here. Billy looks from physically just like Jason Voorhees, kind of like modeled gray and green clothes. I have always had a problem with this mask. Like this mask looks like shit to me.
It's like a wooden block.
A carved wooden block, just that's kind of like strapped to a round noggin. And it's got like Googie face on it.
Yeah,
and
it's like a tiki mask.
I've never liked this mask at all.
Sure.
But other than that, he's basically a machete wheel. He's a Jason Voorhees type.
Right. So Billy is literally just standing there. And Duncan goes up to Billy, and they're all like, what are you doing? And he's like, it's okay. We're not part of the movie. He won't hurt us.
He doesn't know what to do with us.
Yeah, and so Billy is just standing there while Duncan is talking about them not being part of the movie, and he's not knowing what to do. And then he's like, I bet they're all running around with corn syrup in their veins because it's not real. And then he turns around and licks blood from the corpse at his feet. And it turns out to be real.
Blood.
That's real. So now we're having an exposition of how to get out of here. Duncan's like, we probably have to wait till the movie is over. When is that going to happen, the girls say. And then the movie ends when the final girl kills the bad guy and the credits roll. That's what Duncan says. So he describes how the actual movie ends.
Paula, the most unlikely virgin in the history of slasher movies. I don't know why this character. When you look at the roster of this movie, Malin Ackerman's Nancy is obviously the final girl.
But she had sex with Kurt in the movie. So.
Right. But when Paula shows up, you're like, not this girl.
Not this girl
ain't it.
Yeah.
Or this girl is it, and we're throwing the whole idea of virginity out the window because you just don't need it.
Right. Well, but we're not doing that either.
No, it's very virgin-based movie.
So Duncan describes how the movie ends, and they remember that Paula shows up in the next reel, and that she's the final girl. So they just have to stick with her.
Stick with her.
Follow her around, basically. So then Billy walks up behind Duncan, scaring all of the kids, and then he walks away, and they all laugh in relief. Then a machete flies at Duncan's side. And he goes down.
Duncan fucking dies.
Yes.
I love it.
Because Billy sees them.
Yeah, well, it's so silly of them to be like, he doesn't know what to do with us. I'm like, yeah, that bought you a good minute and a half while you're sitting here talking, and now he's going to do what he's going to do, which is fucking murder you.
Yeah. Yep.
So Middlevich gets a machete to the to the side, and it's awesome.
So the rest of the kids run back to camp screaming, and then they pass camp and keep running.
This is awesome.
And then we hear Tina yell, "You came back, yay!" And the kids are still screaming, and they're running off screen.
So this entire scene is a continuous 360 shot that goes around 2 or 3 times as they run from left to right out of screen and then re-enter.
Yes.
So they're obviously unable to leave the movie.
The movie won't let them leave. And then, Tina yells a second time, "You came back, yay!" Yeah. You could tell.
As soon as they run out of the movie, it's like the characters in the movie forget that they weren't there, so they repeat their lines.
Yeah. So on the third go around, they finally stop running, and the movie constructs and the kids are now have gone into the counselor lodge, and they're sitting in a circle singing camp songs, and you can tell like our regular kids are like shell shocked because they can't go, and Duncan is dead.
It's a real fun scene. So a couple things here. They're all doing in a circle singing Michael Row Your Boat Ashore. And that is exactly how the original Friday the 13th begins, is this circle. But then we cut to that 70s show camera in
rotates.
The middle of the group where they're all happy and singing with the movie people, and then it's just like terrified, shell-shocked real characters, and it's just like, I love the night and day of it.
Right. And then I think Tina yells here, "Paula's here," because they hear her car, and they all run outside. And
Paula is driving a Firebird.
Yeah.
She's all leather clad. She's swilling some booze. She's smoking cigarettes. And I'm like, this character is not a final girl.
Not our normal one, at least.
Not normal.
So they're like, "Hey, we have new counselors." And she's like, "We don't have new counselors." And Nancy's like, "Well, now we do." And that's interesting. And they all look at each other weird. So the kids decide to split up. They're basically when the tops come off, Billy shows up. So we got to keep everybody's tops on. Right. So they all split up to follow these people around.
They basically all team up with the new people, and the movie people kind of couple up.
Right. Chris goes with Kurt, Gertie goes with Blake, and Vicki goes with Tina and Paula. And then our Max, of course, wants to be with her mother, Nancy.
Right. So a lot of this is really kind of fun stuff. Kurt is talking with Chris. Kurt's rifling through a pinup mag, and he's just being a dirty little shit, and Chris is trying to be, "You can read the articles in there also," and he's like, "What are you, a fag?" And he drops the F slur on him, and he's like, "My dads are gay, so shut the hell up." And he's like, this character has never been pushed like this before. It's like, that's stupid. Gays can't even have babies. They just go to discos and have sex, which is actually kind of a really cool lifestyle. And he immediately kind of clicks into that might be a cool thing.
And Gertie and Blake are bonding over their pins. Blake looks like he worked at TGI Fridays with all the flair on both suspenders.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about Blake. Blake was at the camp in the first place.
Yeah.
So he's just
he just was already there.
I love these two. They're very sweet. They're immediately sweet on each other.
They are immediately sweet on it. Gertie has just one little pin.
And did you write down what it is from?
No.
So Blake's got all the pins, so of course he sees the one pin and is like, "I like that pin," and she says, "Thanks, it's from a prison pen pal convention thing I went to," which just speaks volumes of how lonely and weird Gertie is.
She's very weird, yeah.
She's
and then
writing letters to convicts.
Vicki with Tina and Paula is basically just trying to keep Tina out of trouble and from taking her top off.
Vicki, by the way, has already said, "I want to know where chainsaws are. I want to know where big-ass knives are."
Which has freaked them all out.
Freaks them all out, but it's also the opening of me being, "Oh, I am Team Vicki."
That makes sense, yeah.
Well, that's just opening the door, because there's other instances.
Okay, so now we're in the bedroom scene from the movie where Nancy is spraying perfume and she doesn't have any pants on, and she's getting ready to have sex with Kurt. Yeah. And Max walks in the door of this cabin, and we hear the cha-cha-cha, and then Max realizes where they are in the movie, and she runs up the stairs. And they have a little moment together.
They had a little moment earlier also outside where Nancy was telling Max, "I think I'm going to lose my virginity tonight to Kurt." And she's like, "Don't do that. It's for your safety." And Nancy's like, "You sound like," she's pissy. You're sounding like my mom. Mm-hmm. So it's almost mirroring what the relationship really was.
Yes,
because
in real life,
she was always the more responsible one.
Which happens quite a few times in this movie.
It keeps going in this.
Things that happen just in that small car scene get repeated.
Well, just right here, when she comes in to stop her from having sex, she's like, "Don't do this." And Nancy
goes, "He said he likes me."
He said he likes me, because she was talking about a boyfriend in the car. And then she's like, "You must think I'm a complete zero," which is also what she said in the car.
Yeah, a lot of lines get
history
repeated.
Is just repeating itself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so Kurt walks in and says some gross, boy stuff. He says something about "Oh, now I got 2 for 1."
Right.
Yeah. Max says
Can you imagine Adam Devine in just lavender tidy-whities being sexy? Because neither can the movie. He's such the weird choice for being like the hot guy. It's hilarious.
I mean, I like funny guys.
He's my height. He's my body type. Again, I was like, he probably got a little bit in shape to be almost naked in this movie. And I'm like, that means I'm never going to look better than that.
Do you know Adam Devine got hit by a truck when he was like 11?
Yeah, I read that recently too.
Oh, yeah.
That's why his growth is like stunted.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
It,
know.
like,
Shut up.
shattered
I
both his
didn't get
legs.
hit by a truck. I didn't get an excuse. His parents live by Aunt Susie.
Huh.
Yeah, they
did not know
retired out around here. So apparently he's a Nebraskan boy.
Oh, okay.
And they settled at the lake.
Yeah.
So
Well, okay. So Max is
I love
there-
all my like. How much do I want to say about our location?
Yeah,
no one
yeah,
that docks ourselves.
yeah.
Like the lake.
The lake. So Max says that they're leaving, and he says, "Too late. Genie's out of the bottle." Talking about his sexiness or whatever. And then we hear cha cha cha. Yeah. And then downstairs, Chris comes into the cabin and asks Gertie where Max is, and she says, "I don't know. But do you hear the cha cha cha?"
Yeah, I love, just like in Friday the 13th or even Jaws, the music never lies to you. If you hear that sound,
Yeah. Billy's on his way.
Jason is on his way. So in this one, the people from outside the movie, when they hear the sound, they're like, fuck, he's around.
Yeah.
And the movie people can't hear it.
Right. So Chris goes up the stairs, and then we see Billy in his mask over Gertie's shoulder out the window.
Yeah.
And then we're upstairs for a second, but then we hear Gertie scream.
It brings all the characters,
Everybody.
the movie characters and the new folks into the living room. And it triggers, they're like, Gertie says, I saw Billy out here, to which Nancy's like, Billy, whatever.
Well, Gertie's like, Max, you have to tell them about Billy. And
Well,
then Nancy's like, wait, you're not meaning Billy Murphy. And
Yeah, and
That's just a legend.
triggers a scene.
It does.
Where our new character is standing there like waiting, and all of the movie characters almost like gravitationally get pulled into a circle in the living room to sit down and have the origin
Right. It's
scene.
like by saying that one line, they all fall back exactly into their movie roles, and
Yeah.
they go and do this. It's very cool.
And at one point, I think it's even Blake who like kind of hunts down and steps backwards, almost like he's being pulled. It's a very cool little effect.
Right. So they're sitting around the living room, and Nancy starts to tell a story of little Billy Murphy. The environment actually starts to melt.
It's almost as if
Around
icicles
them.
start falling from the
It's
ceiling.
more like goo, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like all like clear acrylic
Yeah.
things start coming down, and
just-
our new character's like, what is
And they-
happening?
like the whole world is like melting around them.
Is it because of the films burning?
It is.
going into a flashback.
It is the flashback. As it hits them and goes down, they are black and white. They're in a black and white field, and summer 1956 is on
Yes.
the screen.
1957.
1957.
Yes.
And the camera moves, so it's like blocks on the ground.
Yeah.
So,
It's so cool.
and they actually have to step
They
over
actually
it.
walk over it, yeah. So some guys drive in a Cadillac or convertible or something
convertible.
like that. Nancy is doing a voiceover while the other kids are just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And then they step over the 1957 that's just still sitting there on the ground.
It's clever.
It's
I
very
love it.
cute. I loved it, yes. We see the same flashback from what we saw in the movie where Billy locked himself in the outhouse and they put a string of firecrackers in there with him and he screams. And then the voiceover continues that he had third-degree burns all over his body because of this prank.
Yeah,
and then
our
the
new
kids go
characters can-
with now the movie, when it jumps from one location to another, they are audience
They're
members
jumping.
in every scene. So the kids follow the flashback to the burn ward and Billy's shed where he plans his revenge, and then the cabin where he murders all the campers. And then Gertie gets splashed with blood as he's murdering these
Murder
campers. And then when the flashback ends and they return to the main story, she is still covered in blood.
But now it's bright red, obviously,
Yeah.
because it's a color, and everybody looks at her and screams.
Yes, they all look at her and they scream and they take
Because
off
to the
running.
movie characters, she just like
Appeared in blood.
just teleported blood all over her.
So they've all run off. Max follows and is like, wait, you can't leave, just like the way we can't leave. And she's like, you can't leave until Billy's dead. I'm just trying to save you. And Nancy's like, why are you trying to save me? And she goes, because you're my, and she almost says mother, but she says something else like, you mean something to me, or you're my friend, or
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever.
Meanwhile, Kurt and Paula jump in her car.
Oh, yeah.
And they try to get out of camp. And while they're driving down the road, Duncan comes out of the woods and says, hey, I'm not dead.
I'm not dead. And then immediately gets hit by their car.
And then Paul just runs him over. Yeah. And then Paul slams into the gate of the camp is like totem poles. And she slams into the totem pole thing and Kurt flies out the windshield and breaks his neck.
Yeah, like Adam Devine's body hits the ground and is like
Folded and
snapped in half. It looks great.
Yeah.
You love to see him
And
die.
they were like, well, at least Paul is okay.
At least Paul is okay, and then the car just explodes.
Yeah.
So just boom, boom, boom. We have 3 massive deaths.
Yeah. So then Nancy says, I can't believe they're all dead. And then Vicki, upset, rants that they're not dead because they were never alive in the first place. And this is just a movie. And she stomps off.
Right.
And then Nancy asks Max what she means about this being just a movie. And so now everybody's in the cabin that's still alive. And the kids have told the movie constructs that they're in a movie. And they have also dressed Tina up in a bunch of like padding. So she's in like a life jacket. Funny. They've duct taped oven mittens to her.
Because they gotta make sure that this character is a puppy dog. Mm-hmm. Like she can't.
She has like.
She's like a baby.
She's like a baby, a sexual baby.
A sexual baby, which is super gross. But she's like, they have to make sure she doesn't take her clothes off.
Yeah.
Which is going to trigger Billy to come.
Because in the next scene, there's a slumber party and she is scripted to have a striptease.
Yeah.
And with a striptease means Billy comes. As soon as the tops come off, here comes Billy. So then Vicki says that they need to nominate a new final girl, and she is willing to be it. And then Chris is like, no, you're not a virgin. Because they used to date.
Once again, she has also called for chainsaws another time previous to this, and now she's like, I'm going to be the last one. I'm going to fight. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with this character. She's trying to take charge.
She is.
She's trying to, like, fight to deal with this stuff.
Yeah. So then he's like, you have to be a virgin to kill Billy. And Gertie says that Max is a virgin and they need to get Billy's machete away from him to kill him. And Duncan said that that's the only way that he can die is if he's killed with that machete.
Everything else just slows him down, so it has to be by a virgin with his machete.
With his own machete.
It's a game of Clue.
But Max doesn't want to. She doesn't think she can do it. She's like, no, I can't do this. So Nancy says that she can do it. She's still a virgin because she never has sex with Kurt.
She didn't die that night.
But then Vicki tells her that she can't do it, that she's just the girl with the clipboard and the guitar who gets laid and dies. And it's not in her DNA. And then she runs off crying.
Right. Vicki's kind of an asshole here, but she is trying to be like, in the movie, you are this and not that.
Yeah. Yes. So Max chases after Nancy and they talk together about never growing up and falling in love and having kids. And she had a dream that she would meet a guy after college and have a baby and it would be a little girl. And if she ever needed her, that they would do anything for her. And she said she would have made a really great mom. And
this is a little heavy-handed.
It is. It is supposed to like...
It's supposed to be sweet and a coming of like, I would have. But again, this is a character. And so that's where the blurred lines keep happening.
It's definitely a little bit of a blurred line. So Max, of course, in tears said that she was the best mom. Nancy's like, I knew something was up with this place. What kind of summer camp has water beds?
Has water beds,
yeah.
Right.
And then she's like, what do we do now? And
we fight.
We fight.
I love a montage of booby trap shit.
Yes.
We
Operation
have music going
Booby Trap.
on. It's called Operation Booby Trap. And everyone is just... It's
like a Home Alone montage.
Oh, no. How dare you? It is the Lost Boys montage.
Okay.
Where they go and set the house up. They do all the traps. Everyone has their thing. And it's fucking fun.
Okay. Well... They're at like a dock is with Vicki and Gertie and Max. And Vicki is crying and starts apologizing to Gertie for the things that she did in the past and how she was just jealous of their friendship because Max cut her out of her life when her mom died.
Right. There's a moment here that it's the 3 of the real girls are having a real conversation and Vicki and Max used to be friends.
Yeah.
And Vicki says, when your mom died, you shut down completely, and I didn't know how to get back in there, and then you became friends with Gertie, and that pissed me off, so I became an asshole.
Right.
And I was like...
And Gertie was just an asshole back.
Holy shit, is this a Lindsay moment?
Yes,
that
it is 100%
that is another moment where I'm like, wow, I wrote that line about my wife.
Yeah, that happened to me too. Okay, so then we're back at the cabin, and Tina has started figuring out how to get her mittens off. And
Damn it, Tina.
I know.
Vicki has had this entire time as a thing, her Adderall. So the Adderall has popped up a couple times in this movie. Vicki has now found...
The Adderall, for some reason, in the pocket of her life jacket?
Tina has somehow found Vicki's Adderall.
Yes. So we are with Max and Nancy in a cabin, and they're making flaming arrows. Yeah. And it's got this weird blue tarp on it, so the whole scene is blue. So Nancy asks about her parents and how they must be worried, and Max tells her, it's another mom moment, tells about her mom and how she never knew how awesome she was, and Nancy gives her a friendship bracelet. So she never forgets her, and she's like, I can never forget you. Max tells Nancy that if she survives, then she'll be hanging around at the end of the movie.
Okay, so yes, what is happening here in this scene is there is a moment of hope where Max decides, hey, there's no reason why I can't pull you out of here.
Yes.
Maybe we just survive this, and you go home with me.
Yes.
And we get to be together outside of this movie. You could be whatever you want.
Yep.
You have plans. You can pursue those plans. So it's giving you this little moment to be like, oh, maybe we get to be together.
So this is not how horror movies work. Final girl movies do not work this way.
Well.
Only one girl survives. So then the other kids show up outside and say there's a bit of a situation. And then they get back to the cabin.
So Tina has gotten into the Adderall, and she is a fucking like vibrating bunny of a character.
Yes.
This actress is so good
She's so
in this
good.
moment.
Yes. She's like, I got this. I can do this.
So the whole idea is she is finally going to do what she's scripted to do.
Yeah.
She's going to do a striptease, call Billy into this now booby trap place, and they're just going to fuck Billy up. They're going to get his machete, fuck him up.
Right. So then Vicki goes to Nancy, time to unleash the beast.
Unleash the beast. They put on the record, and Warren's Cherry Pie starts playing as this literally vibrating woman.
It is the best violent striptease ever.
Violent, off-putting striptease.
With like high kicks and
like punching and like flopping down on the ground and rolling around. It is so good.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then
I love that.
Oh,
She's not trying to be sexy. She's like, I am tough.
She's like, yeah, it is angry striptease.
I am strong. I'm gonna get naked. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
So then we flash to the wood where Billy starts coming, and Tina freaks out so much that she trips
and immediately throws her head into a bear trap.
She trips on it. So
everything goes tits up immediately.
They're like, cut the rope, which has the totem pole part log thing that falls and throws Billy onto a bunch of antlers they had nailed to the door. So he's been stabbed by a bunch of antlers.
It actually he actually gets picked up off the ground and is impaled on a bunch of bear traps on the door. Yes. He's got his machete locked in his hand.
Yeah. And Gertie and Blake are upstairs because they had cut the rope upstairs. And Blake tells Gertie that he loves her. I think because he has to go down there and get the machete.
So Blake runs down to grab the machete and
he gets stabbed.
Billy wakes up and kills him.
Yeah, he's done. So then everyone who's still surviving runs into the kitchen.
They're shooting flaming arrows at Billy.
Which basically is just the alive kids, the real kids, and Malin Ackerman, Nancy.
So that's what we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
It's the real kids and only
the four real kids.
Technically, Nancy is the final girl of the movie as of right now.
Yeah. So everyone runs to the kitchen and gets flaming arrows and starts shooting them at Billy. Gertie has to run upstairs with Vicki, and they have a bucket trap that they strung up.
So basically, Billy has a bunch of flaming arrows sticking out of his chest, and above him is a bucket of gasoline that they're wanting to dump on Billy.
Right. So all the kids now have gone up there with them, and Nancy goes out the window. There's like a fire escape ladder, and the bucket trap is not working. They're pulling and pulling, and it's just not coming down. Billy pushes a bookcase over onto Gertie and Vicki.
Vicki and Gertie are now on the ground trapped.
And then he stabs his machete into the back of Gertie.
Yeah.
No.
So Vicki is holding her hand while she dies.
Once again, Team Vicki all the way.
Yeah.
As these two characters trap, Vicki watches the life go out of Gertie's eyes and holds her hand and then manually gets this bucket.
She tells Max, it's okay, go. And Chris and Max go out the window and
sacrifices herself in a terrible way.
And pulls that fire down.
And basically makes the whole top room blow up.
Yeah. So then we have slow motion. So now we're stuck in a special effect in the movie. So
it is awesome.
It's so good.
They are trapped in slow motion.
They are.
So the three of them, Chris, Nancy, Max, are on the ground. Billy, on fire, explodes out of the second-story window and comes slow-mo down.
And it's so slow, and it's so pretty.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's so great.
And then it cuts to them running through the woods in slow-mo, and Billy is still on fire.
And they're still stuck in slow motion. They're even talking about it. Nancy's like, what is this? And they're like, this is slow motion.
Billy's machete is flaming. It looks badass.
It's so good. So fucking good. So then at the last second, Max yells, jump. And in slow motion still, they start jumping over a creek. And then Billy's hand just brushes the end of Chris's shoe. And then it knocks them out of slow motion. And they fall into the creek. Max gets Nancy to start telling this flashback story again. Because
Billy's standing over them ready to kill them.
He's about ready to kill them. So they're like, flashback story. So they're all in the flashback story, including Billy.
The icicles come down again. They all get pushed back.
They're back in black and white. Everything. And then that Cadillac convertible hits Billy, knocking him over when it comes in,
and it explodes. The summer 1957 scatters across the yard.
The letters scatter across the yard. Yeah, machete goes flying right to Max's feet.
So in the flashback, Max is able to get Billy's machete.
So she has the machete. And then they see when little Billy leaves the outhouse after the firecrackers, they see him run off into the woods and they decide to follow him and they come to an old cabin. And then we see Big Billy in the woods behind them and they all freak out. And they have Nancy do the end lines of the flashback to close the flashback. So they're back in, not real time, obviously, but they're in movie time.
They're back in the movie.
So they're back at the creek and they don't see Billy. And they're like, oh. And
maybe he was trapped in the flashback.
Yeah, and as they start to get out of the creek, he's right behind them suddenly. And Chris smacks him with a branch and he gets stabbed. So Billy has then grabbed Nancy and is taking her away. So now only Max and Chris are left together. And Chris is stabbed and they're like stumbling through the woods and they find a chapel all pretty with pink lights and painted windows. And a storm has started and there's lots of lightning.
Lightning starts flashing.
Okay. Max is trying to get back to save Nancy and Chris keeps trying to tell her that she's not real. Max is like, yes, she is real. And then Chris says, I don't want to die alone. And she's like, you're not going to die. I know exactly where he's taking her.
Right. So this is clunky. And I don't know why they decided they needed the little, like, Billy's side of the cabin to go to when we're going to pop right back here. But we run off to this dilapidated part of the camp where Billy's
We have a little moment where we have the final girl weaponed up with a purpose. And we think that, oh, she's the final girl. You have that moment.
Now?
Yeah, now.
All right, fine.
Yes, now. She's got the machete. She's got, I can fucking fight Billy.
That's fine.
Yes.
That could happen in 3 minutes.
Sure, but
also.
It was like she was so trepidatious earlier in the movie.
So, okay, my bad, because that is incredibly important. There's a moment where Max steps up and is like, I am the whole, everyone watching this movie, if they know anything, they're like, shit, you're the final girl.
You're the final girl. Yes, exactly. That is the moment. You're the final girl. So Max goes to that dilapidated cabin they saw in the flashback.
All the corpses are in there.
Well, she takes a lantern. Yeah, she goes through the house and
Jason
magically one of the doors just opens up to show her the room where she needs to go. In there's dead campers and Nancy.
So much of this movie is beautifully color coded too. So now in this dilapidated part, it's just static, like red lights.
Yeah, red.
Just red in all the windows.
Yeah. And then for a moment while she's untying Nancy, we see a flash of Billy. And she turns around and he's not there. And then we see him again and Max attempts to attack Billy. And he throws her across the room. And he grabs her by her hair. And then Nancy grabs something and bashes him with it, like a chair or something. Yeah. Because Nancy got untied before. Or at least enough to get herself
Whatever.
Up.
Like this happens so like
it's very
mishmash.
Fast. Yeah.
And then they're just like cut their back of the...
Nancy grabs the machete and stabs him and then... takes Max to the chapel where Chris is.
They cut right back to the chapel.
Because hold on, wait. Max is trying to hurt Billy and he grabs her by the throat and throws her to the ground and stabs her with a small knife. He had stabbed her. Now Chris and Max are both now stabbed.
Yeah. And Max is hurt pretty bad.
Yeah. Right. So they're back at the chapel where Chris is. And Nancy tells Max that she knows what to do. And Max is not the final girl yet because she's still alive. And then Max is like, no, I'm already dying, so you can be the final girl. And then Nancy's like, no, that's not how I'm supposed to be. I'm the girl with a clipboard and the guitar, not the final girl. And Max doesn't want to let her go, but Nancy says, just let me do this. I'm not afraid.
Yeah, this is her having to say goodbye to her mom.
Max is like, I wanted to save you. And she's like, you did, by letting me be here with you. I've never felt more real and more alive than ever before. Then Max breaks and says, no, Mom, you belong at home with me. And then she tells her who she is in the real life outside of the movie. And then I start to fucking cry because this is where I always cry in this fucking movie. And she's like, I'm not going back without you. I don't want to lose you again. And Max is like, I'm not lost. I'm right here. You'll always know where to find me. But you have to let me go. And so she walks away to her fate. And Betty Davis' eyes comes back on. And she's out in... So there's this beautiful scene where you have the church on one end, and you have all these clouds, and these pink clouds with lightning behind it. It's all Technicolor. It's so pretty.
Before Stranger Things did this bullshit, this movie did it. It is a pink sky.
Yeah.
It is blue lightning, and it is purple fog at the bottom.
And the bright green grass. It's just so Technicolor.
It is a pullback, like long shot of this that starts with Billy on the left in the grass and the chapel on the right, and it's just this battle.
And her marching towards her fate. Yeah. Yes, it's so pretty. And with, of course, the 80s Betty Davis Eyes song. It's so great. So... Nancy starts to do her striptease dancing to their song.
But it's so playful and it's for her daughter.
It is for her daughter. So she turns around.
It's not
and faces the chapel.
It's just kind of what they did in the car, being goofy with one another.
Yeah. And she's doing this little, it's not really a striptease, she's more like dancing.
Yeah, she's just dancing.
She took her shirt off, but Billy has shown up and he just walks up to her and stabs her. Because that's
Stabs her dead.
Yeah. And then Max passes out as the storm roils. She wakes up, and now she's the final girl. She picks up the machete. She twirls it like she knows what the fuck she's doing.
This is where I was. This is where I was. This is the final girl.
Yeah.
Because she just like...
Yeah.
Now she has to kill... She's lost the battle with death itself,
we
and now
have
she
that
just
moment
has to
twice,
kill
but now it's like, oh, the other moment was just bravado.
Sure.
Then she walks out the door and says, "You're fucking with the wrong virgin."
Yeah, it's a bad line. It's a real bad line. But that's the point of the movie, right? It's supposed to be bad lines.
Right, so Max and Billy fight, and he throws her, and she drops the machete, and they both run for the machete, and Max grabs it, but Billy kicks her across the field.
The
and
kick
he
is
throws
awesome.
Yeah.
Because she gets kicked in the chest and hits the ground and just slides for like 20
It's
feet.
very, like, cartoonish. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's almost like pro wrestling.
Yeah,
shit.
and then he throws his little knife at her, and then
does
there's a silly Matrix
Yeah, the
duck
Matrix
under
slide.
the knife. Yes.
It's a little much.
Yeah, and then she cuts off his head with her machete.
That's it, baby.
And then the storm calms, dawn breaks, the credits start to roll, and Chris walks up to Max, and they stand there watching the credits.
Again, it's so pretty. Chris gets up. Now it's the credits roll beyond the horizon like a sunrise.
Yeah.
They are golden.
Yellow, yeah.
And they go up. There's like, they're obviously way in the distance because the fog and particulate at the bottom. And they're just watching credits go like it's the sun coming up.
Yeah, and then
fucking cool looking.
It's very cool. So then they kiss, and then the screen goes blue with the rated R text from the end of the movie, and then this starts to flash and whir, and then Max...
The end of the reel.
Yes, the end of the reel. And then Max now is waking up in a hospital with Chris in the bed next to her. And we hear conversation about tapioca pudding behind the curtain. And it turns out to be the rest of her friends. They're all alive. Including Duncan. And he still has the machete wound. And then he shows his shirt. He has this huge wound. And
they're like, so it's all fake. He's like, oh no, we were hurt terribly. He's got like 20, like 50 stitches across his thing.
Yeah, but Max still has the friendship bracelet on her arm. And then we hear cha-cha-cha. And they all look at each other.
And Duncan's like, fuck.
So
he notices.
And then you do that little Scooby-Doo thing around where all their heads are around the door frame.
Yeah, and Duncan notices a Rubik's Cube, a can of Tab, a Mogwai.
A gremlin. Yes, a Mogwai.
Mogwai doll is like, oh, fuck, it's the sequel.
Yeah,
it's
title
so
card.
much. It's so much cooler than the original.
Camp Bloodbath 2, Cruel Summer.
And Billy comes jumping through the glass doors of the hospital.
They grab the nearest weapon, and
Max takes an IV stand and goes, swishes it around and just jumps into battle.
And then cut to black.
Cut to black.
The end.
Yeah, pretty good.
I thought it was so much fun. I love this movie.
Yeah, it's good. It does get you right in the feels of places.
And it's so pretty.
It's
so pretty. The whole movie.
I feel like if this rock could tumble a little bit more in the machine to get a little smoother.
Sure.
But for what it does, its point is to stab your heart a little bit about letting someone who is gone go.
Yeah. And in the genre great. Of a horror comedy, it is a horror comedy, but it's also... more. Yeah, it's more than that. It talks about grief.
It sticks it at the end what it's trying to do, which is more than most movies actually
I have seen
this
movie a handful of times, like 5 times, and I still love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's great. I was going to be just fine, and then you started getting all choked up, which made me all choked up. I was going to be a big boy.
Oh, I can't help myself. There are certain movies that make me cry every time.
Yeah.
This movie, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, God.
I cannot watch a movie without
Rocket
crying.
Story.
Oh, my gosh. Not the third one. No, the first one.
Jaws, The Revenge. Okay, so we did that movie, and I guess the only thing left to know is there a question from John?
Today we have a question from one of our listeners, Robert. Robert would like to know, if you could only keep one iconic villain, like Freddy, Jason, Xenomorph, which would it be, and why?
Keep it how?
Keep it like just everyone else goes away and you just have the one
eliminated.
Villain?
Yeah.
God. That is a Thanos snap of a question, because it's more important about what goes away instead of what stays.
I don't know. I mean, for me, like, I'm really into, like, I love camp slasher movies more than any of the other shit. Like, I hate Freddy Krueger. I hate those movies. I hate the Freddy Krueger movies.
All right.
I don't know. I just never connected.
No, it's fine.
I'm very much more into Jason movies than any of them.
Part of the reason to do this podcast is actually not just horror movies, but specifically slashers, trying to tease apart why the fuck we watch these things. And I still don't know. Like, this plays with it a little bit, but it's so weighted. I don't know why we like watching randos die.
True.
So,
True.
But it's an ongoing process.
Sure.
It's a conversation we're
Which
having.
one do you want to have survive?
And what did he say? Like, villain? Like,
Yeah. Which one would you keep and why?
gosh, I don't. Sometimes this is too hard. Hang on.
I mean,
Like, I want to keep something that's culturally important.
we could say Ghostface, but that's not one person ever.
No, but I would take that. That's a spirit.
It's a spirit of
I mean,
Ghostface.
technically, Jason's not one person either. He could,
Yeah, that's what I was
That's
thinking in
true.
these like big franchises. The killer changes out
Yeah.
a bunch of times. So it was like you could keep one like that, and then you get sort of a.
I mean, if
I
we're
would pick
talking about the
Ghostface.
franchises. I don't hate your answer.
Yeah, I think I would keep Ghostface. It is a cultural phenomenon. It is so embedded in that world. Like, everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows that this is, and they all know that it changes, but it's also like related to each other. And
Like I said, like, why we watch these things is kind of ambiguous to me. And so I like your answer because it seems culturally important. You just show up at Camp Crystal Lake and
He's
this
gonna kill
asshole is
you.
going to kill you.
Yeah.
This motherfucker in his dreams has an agenda that is generational. It has nothing to do with you.
right, but Ghostface
What
has a
Scream
different
does
agenda.
is tell you, yo, your neighbor could kill you.
Yeah.
Your best friend could kill you. You might have someone in your life. Like, that's the thing about Scream is
Mm-hmm.
everyone knows who is after them.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of not fun. That's a paranoid thing.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you may know that the threat is real and is probably in your house,
Yeah.
which is reality.
It is reality.
Because if you look at, like, the darkness that happens in real life, it's your youth pastor, it's your stepdad, it's the person
It's
who's
not a
around
stranger
you.
has
It's
no
not a
connection.
weirdo standing under a street light in a mask that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The call's coming from inside the house.
Yes. The fear that is real, that is more reality, is the one we want to keep, because otherwise it's just cartoon and we have nothing to be afraid of.
Right. And it's a cautionary tale that way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Ghostface. Not a fun answer. Keep your head on a swivel, folks. Your neighbor might be trying to kill you. So, that was this week. Next week, guys, I think we might be talking about a carpenter. A carpenter comes. I don't know. You might know him. His initials are JC.
Jesus Christ.
John Carpenter enters the podcast. I don't know which one we're going to do yet. He is my hero, so that is going to be some talking about. We're boiling it down to 2, and they're not the ones you're going to guess are going to be the first John Carpenter. But we're going to have a good time regardless. But you have just been privy to another episode of the Creature Podcast. I want to thank our producer, Jamie. You can find her at cherrystreetstudios.com or cherry_street_studios on Instagram. She makes this thing work out loud. I want to thank Kevin MacLeod for all of our music. All of our art is made by Lindsay and myself. You can see all of that and get our episodes and our t-shirts and our condolences at creaturepop.com. Until next time, love you, John.
Love you, John.